Hey everybody, I am Chef Nicole Eamon Osteen, and welcome to my kitchen. Um, I wanted to get on and start making some videos for my friends, family, and definitely for my students so they can cook some things for their family and we can still have some fun times together even if it's not face to face. I just want you all to know how much I really miss you, and this will make me feel a little more normal, teaching you guys how to make one of my favorite dishes. We're going to make a chicken parmesan bake, and chicken parmesan is definitely one of my most favorite dishes to make and to eat. As a chef, I get asked a lot what my favorite meal is, and this is definitely one of them. These are pretty much all the pieces that it's going to take to make the chicken parmesan bake today, and it's going to be awesome. Chicken parmesan is a very delicious and pretty classic, I'd go ahead and say a classic dish. It's a spin-off of eggplant parmesan that's been breaded and lightly fried, and I do absolutely love eggplant parmesan, and we could do this exact same thing with eggplant if that's what we had, but today we're going to do it with chicken. We are going to use gemelli pasta, partially because it's what I have and we're on quarantine and I'm not going to go to the store for my favorite angel hair. But we're going to use this beautiful gemelli pasta, which gemelli means twins in Italian, and it's because it looks like two little spirals that have been spiraled together. It's actually one piece of pasta, but that's what gemelli means. We're going to use this beautiful tomato sauce that I made a few days ago. I made this with fresh tomatoes, fresh peppers, carrots, onions, garlic, lots of spices and herbs and fresh basil. You can definitely use a canned sauce. You do not have to make your own sauce for this, but I just so happen to have a lot of time on my hands and some extra ingredients around, so I went ahead and made my own tomato sauce. And then we have our chicken over here. This is just straight chicken breasts that I have butterflied so they're a little bit flatter than normal. And I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to make this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pasta in my water that I already have boiling, and then I'm going to put my sauce, my pasta sauce on the stove so that it can heat up as well. So my pasta water is not quite hot enough yet, so I put a lid on it, and I'm going to put my tomato sauce in my red pot there so it can start to heat up. I'm going to scrape all that good stuff out of there. That's all money if we throw it away. Put that on about medium heat. I have an idea. We'll get that boiling here in just a second. So I have added a little bit of Himalayan salt to the water because I love this stuff. So I've already salted my water, so it's actually a little bit cloudy, and then I could put a little bit of oil in there, which I already have it out, so maybe I'll go do that. Adding salt to your pasta water will actually lower the temperature of the boil of the water. So it will let the water boil at a lower temperature, not necessarily the 212 that it normally boils at. So adding a little bit of salt will make your water boil faster. So it is so close. So as that's heating up, I'm going to show you what we're going to bread the chicken with. We're going to use a triple breading process or a three-step breading process, which is very common in the culinary world, which is flour, eggs, and then your breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs that I'm using today are probably 3/4 Italian breadcrumb. Well, I guess I'd say 3/4 Italian breadcrumb, 1/4 of a panko breadcrumb, which is a Japanese breadcrumb. It's a little bit crunchier. It's got more, it's bigger chunks, and it's just got a little bit of extra crunch to it, which will really lend itself to this bake because it's going to go in the oven and in the freezer and then reheat it again. So, and then I also put maybe like 1/4 of a cup of the grated Parmesan in there. So we can just mix that guy up. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my flour right here on my plate. You always want to set up your station so it's functionable. So we have flour. We're going to do eggs next, which are going to go in here. Got a little eggshell in there. Best way to get an eggshell out of a bowl is to use another eggshell because it can cut right through. Three eggs in there. I think my water's about to boil. Put these in my garbage disposal. Okay. Well, my water is at a rolling boil now. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my pans around again. So we have our pasta boiling, and we use that nifty container as my garbage. And one thing that's very important about pasta is you always want to be stirring. This pasta is going to take about 9 minutes to cook, so I'm going to go ahead and set my timer. I'm only going to set my timer for 8 minutes because I don't want it, I want it cooked to al dente, which is to the tooth or to the bite, so that this can handle, like I said, being frozen and then reheated again. This dish is being designed to be almost like a casserole. I have my all-purpose flour here, I have my eggs here, and I have my breadcrumbs. I'm also going to add just a little bit of milk to my eggs. And then go ahead and just dump it right there on my plate. Alright, for this end result, I might have to rearrange a couple things. We always want to keep our stations set up nice and organized, work clean, because it's very important. We're going to keep our cheese right over here for a minute. And we've got this big, nice pan here that's going to be where our end result. So I'm going to take a little bit of a garlic herb seasoning that I like to buy, and go ahead and grab my gloves. I always have gloves in my kitchen. It's just how I cook. I don't mind touching things like this, but I also like the ability to not get it on my hands at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to season up my flour, my eggs, and even my breadcrumbs a little, and I might even just put a little of this last stuff on the chicken, because it's always good to season up your chicken. This is some Mediterranean, actually this one's basil and this one's oregano. So I'm going to put a little basil in here, a little basil in here, and a little basil in here. Maybe a little basil in here too, a sprinkle, and I'll mix those up here in just a second. But we want to make sure that our flavor is getting to everything. And then of course my favorite Himalayan pink salt. Pretty much put this stuff in everything, and this stuff is surprisingly, I don't want to say it's not very salty, but you just kind of have to put a little more than what you would kind of think that you were going to put in, from what I've noticed. So we got a little salt in there too. So this all mixed up. This is a little bit of a messy process, and that's okay. Life's a little messy sometimes. So put this over to our sink. And when we're doing this 3-step process, we're going to try to use what we call a wet hand and a dry hand. And that's so that we don't create a bunch of buildup on our fingers and need to change our gloves a bunch. It's just, when you're breading large quantities of things, you're really trying to save your gloves. I have breaded more things than I'd like to remember, so I really try to save these as much as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these beautifully cut chicken breasts here, and we're going to take it into the flour like this, and then just lightly kind of dust it off. We want just enough to kind of dry off the chicken and get the other stuff to adhere to the meat. Then we're going to take and dip it in this little egg mixture here. Drip, drip, and then right into this. And I did not use my wet hand, dry hand. That was completely opposite of what we just talked about. So that is your piece of chicken right there, and now I'll see if I can remember how to do this properly. So we're going to put some flour on here, and we're going to tap it off, and we're going to lay it into here, This is our dry hand. Now our wet hand is going to come through and pull it out of the eggs and put it right here into the panko, the crunchy panko. I should say panko and Italian crumbs. And I like to give it a little pressure so that it really gets nice and breaded. As you can see, you can kind of do 2 at a time and go through this. Make sure that you get all pieces breaded equally, like that. And I figure my family's going to eat probably 2 pieces of chicken. It's actually really just one chicken breast that's been cut in half. So that way I know that 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 pieces should pretty much do the 4 of us. Sometimes one of the kids will not eat all their their entire piece, and an adult will come by and maybe snack on a little bit, or we'll just cut it in half and give them half a piece, and then that way they don't feel obligated to try to eat more than they know they can fit in their stomachs. But this is a pretty good dish, so everybody usually eats a pretty good amount. And our last piece of chicken in the breading there. Alright, so now that we've got those guys all breaded, I usually just set these aside because we're not going to need them for a few minutes, and we're going to step over and start frying up our chicken. I'm going to take these bad boys off. Best way to take off gloves is to grab and kind of pull down in like that, and then put it into your other hand, and then cover the glove like that, so that we have a nice clean little setup. Oh, and there are our noodles, but they're still trying to boil, so we're going to set that timer again, and I'm going to get a lid. Now you don't really want to boil noodles with lids on it, but if it's not coming to temperature, like the water's not heating up quickly, you can do that. So I'm also going to turn on this front burner so that we can get this pan heated up so we can pan fry this chicken a little bit. Then we're going to move over to that pan over there, and we're going to layer it all when everything's all complete. So we're going to bring these over here. Pasta sauce is heating up nicely. And so for the chicken, we're going to lightly pan fry it, and then we're going to layer it with everything else. So we're going to move it away from this pan that's dripping a little bit. This burner in the back is a little bit stronger, so I'm going to put it over here, and then there's less chance of it splashing onto my pan where I am trying to pan fry things, because we all know how well water and oil work together. So we have pasta cooking here, we have sauce cooking here, we have our breaded chicken right here. We're gonna pan fry it really quick, then we're going to put everything all together. This chicken is not gonna be done when we take it off of this pan right here. We are just trying to get a little bit of color on this chicken, and then the whole thing is gonna finish cooking in the oven. So it's okay if you're not cooking it to 165 degrees, because we are going to finish everything off in our nice hot oven, and that will bring it to the internal temperature of 165 degrees that we're looking for. So I hear that my pasta is heating up nicely. There we go. Okay, so this guy is heating up. I'm going to put a little bit of avocado oil on here because it's my favorite oil. It heats up to it can heat up to 500 degrees, which is great for frying things, and it's the healthiest oil to fry in, so that's kind of why I enjoy using it. So let's see if, I like to drop a couple things on my pan to see if it's hot enough, and it looks like it's getting there. So let's go ahead and lay some stuff out here. There we go. You can kind of see it starting to fry a little bit. Try to get some of the oil around the whole pan. And stir our pasta again. I'm going to go ahead and move some of this stuff out of here. I'm sure, as everybody knows, we're at my house, so if you hear dogs or children, don't be alarmed. They are here. I'm going to get my workspace a little cleaned up, and we're going to try to get this all put together. Alright, we've got our chicken browning nicely. Oh yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. We could put a little bit more oil on there, but it's not the end of the world. And our noodles are boiling back here. Our sauce is heating up, so in a few minutes it's just going to be a matter of putting some layers together. Set our station up. Because we're going to go ahead and heat this up to 165 degrees in the oven, it's okay to go ahead and put it back onto this pan. We have about a minute left on our pasta. And shortly behind that, our chicken will be done. So, this guy is... Oh no. Alright, we're going to let these brown up a little bit longer. I'm going to put a little bit more oil on there because this chicken is soaking it right up. Last 2 pieces. These ones are probably pretty close to ready to be flipped. Oh, not quite yet. You'll notice how different parts of the pan will heat differently. Sometimes I'll move my pans around because I know that the heat will heat the pan differently. The noodles are done. I'm going to turn my timer off and grab some hot pads and drain these off. It's very important that you don't rinse your pasta noodles, especially when making a casserole or something that's going to be reheated in the oven. The sauce will stick to the pasta better if you do not reheat the noodles. Oh no, I dumped some on the ground. That's okay. That's okay. So we have some beautifully cooked noodles right here. We have a beautifully cooked sauce, which I'm going to put right here. And then our pan of chicken is coming over here in just a second. Get some of that good oil in there. I don't feel guilty about frying things in good healthy oils. I think everybody needs a certain amount of healthy fat in their diet, and avocados are really, or have for quite some time been very up and coming in the health and wellness world. So everybody's on the avocado toast trend. I know that's very hip, and so I'm just doing my part by cooking for my family with avocado oil. So we have almost all of our parts done, and we can start putting this together. My little doggies are coming inside to visit me, so I apologize if you see them. This is a dog-friendly household. So let's get this all finished up over here. All checked out. Oh yeah, looking good. Make sure everything's off, and we have our beautiful chicken. So now we're just going to put all this together, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this pan with just a little bit of avocado spray, because that's how I roll. It's a little easier to clean the pan when it has a little bit of oil on the outsides of it. So I am going to take a layer of this and just kind of put it on the bottom there and spread it all around. And then I'm going to grab some hot pads and put a nice layer of noodles down. I'm just going to go ahead and use all of them. Okay, so nice beautiful layer of noodles. And we're going to go ahead and layer some sauce. Totally good to mix it up a little. Because it's going to get all happy in there anyways. And the number one ingredient in this dish, as all of our students would know, is love. Because love makes the world go round. Oh. As you can hear, my doggies are on high alert. They can hear something's going on. So now we're going to start layering chicken. Oh, we might have to rearrange. So this is all going to fit. It's like Tetris chicken Parmesan. All right. Gonna smash it all down in there. Yeah. Bye. Have fun. My kids are gonna ride their bikes around. I think that's still legal. We're going to top this bad boy with this beautiful, very chunky sauce I made. And I like a lot of sauce. It's just kind of how I roll. So I'm planning on just like covering this whole thing with sauce. Like that. Hopefully that's okay for everybody. And then comes almost everybody's favorite part is the cheese. Cheese, 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 cheese. Like to the where you can't see the chicken anymore. So now, for everybody's favorite part is the beautiful mozzarella cheese. And I'm going to put a glove on because I want to. So now we can just layer this like this. All the way around, and you know, you kind of want to try to make sure it's even across everything. So it's good to do a little figuring that out. There's one more little piece, and then we're just going to leave that like that. And that right there, do maybe another little sprinkle on top, is a beautiful thing. point, we could take this, freeze it, wrap it, and it could stay in the freezer for a month or 2 months or however long we need until we can pull it out, defrost it, and bake it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw mine in the oven. I'm gonna assume it's gonna take probably 45 minutes to an hour. You want to go ahead and get yourself a nice thermometer, can be digital or not digital, and you want this to read 165 degrees in multiple places throughout the dish. 165 degrees is going to go ahead and bring that to a nice high heat and kill everything that could possibly harm you. Chicken needs to be brought up to 165 degrees. It is the highest of all meats when it comes to temperatures. So that's going to go ahead and take care of anything and everything. And this is how we're going to go ahead and make chicken parmesan. It's a pretty hearty dish, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Looking good. Yep. Looks pretty good.